Hey everybody. I wanted to take a little bit of time before you move into the week 1 module to explain how I have set up the course and how you can navigate through all of the material and assignments. If you've made it here, you're in the course content area. Hopefully you have already looked at the previous tabs under Getting Started. If you haven't yet, please do that before you move on to the week 1 module. Those previous tabs include some important information such as how to contact me, as well as how your attendance is tracked and all of the important due dates and deadlines for the course. So please make sure you go back and read through those items before you move on to week 1. This video is going to explain how to navigate the rest of the course content. You'll notice after the Getting Started section, the remaining modules are all titled after the weeks of the quarter. So you've got week 1 module, week 2 module, all the way down to week 11 module. If you click on the week 1 module, you'll see two things actually. The first thing we're gonna mention real quick is there are a variety of tabs that open up under the week 1 module, right? Week 1 agenda, syllabus review, so on and so forth. But what I want to draw your attention to now is on the larger right-hand side of the screen, you'll see week 1 module, and then you'll see 4 or 5 graphics right there, and then a written explanation of what we're covering that week, right? The overview is very useful. It just gives a little more information about each item that you're going to be covering that week. So if you ever have any questions as you're going through all of the material for any given week, like what was I supposed to do here? How was that supposed to be submitted? This would be the first place you would go to possibly answer those questions, right? So I highly suggest reading through the overview for each module before you move into the lessons. So back over to the left-hand side, underneath week 1 module, the first tab that you'll see is week 1 agenda. So if you click on that, there on that right-hand side in the bigger window, you will see literally an agenda for week 1. It's just an outline that basically matches up exactly to what you just read in the overview. This is just a much more simplified version of it. But sometimes that's more helpful to people. They want to just see it almost like as bullet points. But it matches up exactly with the order that I explained things in the overview. The overview does give a little more explanation though. You'll notice too that the order that I explained things in the overview matches up to the order that things are listed on the agenda. And that matches up exactly with the order of the tabs in that module. If comparing those, there's a reason for that. I've ordered things in a specific way that I think is most beneficial to you. Sometimes it's that I've put the easier lessons first, and then the more time and work intensive lessons later. Sometimes it's ordered the way that I have it because we're building on new skills, so it makes sense that you need to cover this material first before you move on to the next thing. So please do your best to follow things in that order. I think it will be easier for everyone to get through the material with without any problems. You'll see on that agenda, if you're looking still at that window, all the way at the bottom, you'll see item number 7. It lists the homework that's being assigned that week. Starting in week 2, the agenda at the top will have the homework that's due that week. So it's a very useful place to just come and double check yourself. Did I turn in all of those items up at the top? And then what do I have to work on once I finish all the class material? Very useful for you. You'll notice that there's also a link right there on the agenda screen it says Agenda Week 1. This is if you would like to download the agenda, save it to your computer, print it if you want. By no means do you have to, but some people like to have a hard copy of something like that. So I've provided it for you if you choose to use it. The agenda will always be the first tab in every weekly module, right? The second tab here in week 2, you'll see underneath week 1 agenda is the syllabus review. So if you click on that, you'll see that there's a video where I'm going to go through the syllabus with you and hit all the highlights. Right? The third tab is daily journals. So you'll see when you click on that tab over on the right-hand portion of the screen, first there's a video where I explain what the daily journals are all about and how you'll be completing them. Right underneath the video is a link to the handout that explains the journals. Again, totally up to you if you use it. Download it, print it, whatever you want to do, or you can just skip it and go down to the written explanation of the daily journals, right? So underneath the daily journals tab, you'll click on it, pre-course assessment. When you click on that tab, you will see on the right-hand side, view the quiz in quizzing tool, and then a little blue box that says go to quiz. I explained the pre-course assessment in the course overview, or in the weekly overview for week 1 module. So I'm not going to go into the specifics of this particular quiz. What I do want to go over though is what happens when you click on go to quiz. So you click on go to quiz and it takes you to a summary screen, right? So that summary screen is going to give you a lot of useful information before you even get started on the quiz. A couple things that you want to pay close attention to. First thing is the due date, obviously. And then right underneath that, you'll see time allowed. This is, how much time you're going to have to take the quiz once you start it. Very useful information. Please pay attention to that. Underneath that, you'll see attempts. Sometimes you'll be allowed to take it, 2 or 3 times. So if you are allowed to do that, it'll, allowed, completed. So how many times are you allowed to take it? How many times have you already taken it? You'll see some instructions right there, and then at the very bottom it says click Start Quiz to begin attempt 1. You'll click on Start Quiz, the quiz will come up, you'll read the instructions and start taking it. Keep an eye on the time. I believe it will let you know. And it says, the timer will not begin until after the setup process is finished. So, you'll know once it's ready and the timing begins. That's going to be the format for every quiz that you take. Each quiz itself will be different. For my class personally, you've got a few written response quizzes and then a few kind of standard multiple choice quizzes. So the instructions will be provided every time, but always pay attention to the summary page before you start the quiz. That way you're aware of all the parameters involved. But going back to the content page, the next tab in the week 1 module, this starts the material for week 1 that we're going to cover. So that tab says the writing process, the rhetorical situation, right? So we click on that, and on the right hand side you'll see a video. It says bookwork explanation. I won't always have a video for every lesson, but because this is the first week, I wanted to make sure that you understood what was expected of you for the very first sub-tab for this lesson. And if you look back over on the left, the very first sub-tab says Book War Exercise. If you click on that, view the assignment in the Assignments tool with a little blue box that says Go to Assignment. So this is your first graded exercise, what I would normally call an in-class exercise. Now, obviously, we are in an online format here, but this is still considered part of the weekly classwork. So they don't differentiate here on Brightspace between an exercise and an assignment. I differentiate on my syllabus between the two. They get scored the same, they're graded the same, but that's how I let you know. If it's an exercise, that means it's part of the classwork for that week. If it's an assignment, then it's a homework assignment. But you go to the same exact spot to complete all of them. So if you click on Go to Assignment, right there, it pops up right on your screen. It gives you the instructions for that exercise or assignment. Just keep scrolling towards the bottom. It tells you what the submission requirements are, because sometimes the exercise or assignment might require you to type right there in the text box. There'll be a text box at the bottom right underneath the instructions where you can start typing. Other assignments will require you to type your responses in a Word document and then upload it. I always tell you in the instructions what you need to do. But you can always look down at the submission requirements as well to know if you need to do it in a Word document. You'll notice for this particular exercise, once you scroll past the submission requirements, it tells you what the due date is, always useful. And then for this one, there are 2 attachments involved. You'll see in the instructions that the first attachment is the essay that you're going to need to read. The second attachment is the assignment itself. It's exactly what you just read up above, but I give you access to it in case you want to download it. That might mean that you just want to download it and print it off so that you can work on it away from the computer. It might be that you want to download it so you can type your answers in and have like a template for it. Totally up to you. You'll know in the instructions though whether or not you really need to download any of the attachments. For instance, this exercise, it's going to tell you you have to download the essay to read it. Otherwise, it's up to you if you do it. Right underneath the attachments, you'll see the section for Submit Assignment, right? Right underneath that, it says after uploading, you must click Submit to complete the submission. So for this one, you are being expected to type it in a Word document and then upload it. So you'll click on, once you're finished and you've saved it to your computer, you'll click on Add a File, you'll browse for it, and you'll attach it. But you're not done there. Please make sure that no matter what kind of assignment it is, that you always come down and click Submit at the bottom left-hand corner. It's in blue. If you don't remember to hit Submit, then it's not actually going to attach it and submit it for grading. Okay? But this is the basic setup of every exercise and homework assignment for the quarter. Right? So I give you some more detailed instructions for each individual item, but if you ever have any questions, let me know as soon as possible and I will help you out. Going back to the course content page, there in the writing process, the rhetorical situation tab, we just looked at that first sub-tab, which was the exercise. The next sub-tab is the PowerPoint. If you click on that, you'll see the PowerPoint shows up right there on the right-hand side of the screen. You can scroll through it right there and get all the information you need. But right at the top of the PowerPoint, on the right-hand side, you'll see the little cloud with the download arrow. So you can click on that and you can download the PowerPoint and save it to your computer if you'd like. You don't have to, but it's there as an option. So you'll go through the PowerPoint, and then the next sub-tab in this area for the rhetorical situation is the video lesson. So you'll click on that, you'll watch the video. I'm going to go over the exercise you just did and the PowerPoint you just read through. And that is everything that's in that tab, right? The next tab, the next lesson in week 1 is the writing process, getting started. You click on the writing process, getting started. There's no video for this one because you'll notice that the sub-tabs, it's just a PowerPoint and a video lesson. So there was no need for extra explanation for this lesson. But you'll want to read the PowerPoint, watch the video lesson. The last tab in the week 1 module is week 1 homework assignments. Click on that tab and you'll see there on the right hand side there is a video. I'm very big on the videos. But I give you a verbal explanation of every single homework assignment for that week. Watch that first for sure. And then you'll see underneath week 1 homework assignments, there is a tab for each individual assignment. For week 1, you'll see that the first one is week 1 assignment 1, pre-writing and rhetorical situation. If you click on that, that window pops up that directs you to the assignment. A little blue button, go to assignment. Click on that, it'll take you to that area just like it did with the before exercise. The second one, week 1 assignment 2, chapter 1, critical thinking. You'll have to read chapter 1 to complete this assignment, but it takes you to the same area once you've read chapter 1. The good thing is these aren't timed. It's not like it's a quiz. So if you aren't really paying attention and you just clicked on that and then go to assignment and it pops up and you're like, oh no, I'm supposed to read chapter 1, you can stop where you're at and go back and read it. And then come back afterwards to finish the assignment. I want to pay a little bit of attention to the last homework item for week 1. You'll see that the third sub-tab says week 1 discussions. You click on that, same kind of box appears. You got the little blue box there. It says go to discussion. Right, so you click on that, and you'll see the week 1 discussion there. Introduce yourself. So you'll click on the title for introduce yourself, and it will sort of refresh the screen so that then you're able to post to the discussion. So let's see if I can get to it. You scroll down a little bit after the prompt, the first thing you'll see, it says rubrics, and then there's a link, it says discussion rubric 1. If you would like to look at that, it is just a rubric of how I'm going to create the discussions. And it's the same one for every week. So if you look at it once now in week 1, it'll be the same all the way through week 10. But right underneath that, you'll see a blue box that says start a new thread. That's what you want to click on to begin posting your response. When you click on that, your cursor will automatically be in a little blue box, actually a long blue box. You'll barely be able to see it says enter a subject. So enter a subject line for this particular post that you're making. Underneath that, you'll see the text box where you can start typing your response. You'll see that there's, you can insert stuff, insert a picture, insert a link. You can change the paragraph form, you can bold, italicize, underline, you can change how it's indented, you can change the font style and the font size. You can even change the font color, although I would appreciate it if everybody just stayed in black for this. A little easier, make sure everybody can read it. And then once you've typed everything, down there towards the bottom, you'll see the blue button that says post. Right, so that is how you make sure that it actually gets, what you just typed gets posted to the discussion forum, to that topic. So make sure you hit that once you're finished. You'll kind of do the same thing when you respond to other students. You'll pick 2 students that you want to respond to, go to their responses and type your response to them. One little thing I'd like to point out, since we've looked at a quiz, an exercise, a homework assignment, and a discussion. If you look up at the top of the screen, you see that blue navigation bar where the content is. So you see content, assignments, discussions, quizzes, etc. So if you click on assignments, it will take you to all the assignments for the quarter that are available to you. If you click on discussions, quizzes, same thing. So that is another way that you can get to each of these items, but there might be more than what you're looking for. So I always think it's better to get to each graded item from the modules, right? So go through each module as I've laid it out and click on each thing that is a graded item and go from there. It's that way you're sure that you're completing the correct item. That covers everything that I've laid out in the week 1 module. I want to take a brief look at week 2 though, because week 1's always a little different because you have to take care of a few business things at the beginning. Week 2 is where the format starts, meaning my pattern of organization. So if you click on week 2 module, again, right there on the right hand side, you'll see a few graphics and then my written overview of the week. The first tab under week 2 module is week 2 agenda, will always be the first tab. The third tab says, the second tab, I'm sorry. The second tab says review of week 1. Starting in week 2, that second tab will always be a review of the previous week. The third tab is daily journal week 2. If you click on that, you'll notice it's an assignment. So you'll click on go to assignment and then you'll complete the daily journal for week 2. Those 3 tabs are always the same for every module. The first tab is always the agenda. The second tab is always a review of the previous week. The third tab is always the daily journal for that week. The fourth tab and on is when you get into the lessons for that week. And then the final tab will always be the homework assignments. So I've tried to be as consistent as possible. Once you kind of get the hang of it after the first couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks maybe, it should be pretty smooth sailing from there on out because it's the same thing. It's laid out the same way for you every single week. Sometimes I will give video explanations if I think something's a little different or might be a little more challenging, but I won't every time. But regardless of whether there's a video or not, if you ever have any questions about how to get through all of this material, where to find things, how to complete and submit things, always get in touch with me as soon as possible. You can email me or text me, whatever works best for you, but I'm home a lot of the time. My kiddos are often here with me, but I'm usually available to get back to you pretty quickly, and I'm especially going to be on notice the first few weeks of the class because I want to make sure that I get back to you as soon as I possibly can to make sure you're on the right track and getting answers to your questions. So if you have any questions about the course content and how I've laid it out, let me know. Otherwise, good luck getting through everything.